All right, what's up, guys? This is Live With, and we have replaced Rick with an upgraded version.
Wow, upgraded.
Who we now call Upgrade Rick.
No, I'll stick with Tom. I don't want to be upgrade Rick.
So thanks for joining us. We are here just to kind of catch up, kind of provide some opportunity just to share some stuff with you guys, just to kind of chat a little bit and hopefully provide some encouragement and distraction from the craziness of social isolation and distancing such. So, Thomas, what do you got?
What? Wait a second. That's not how this works.
It could be. You don't know.
Well, guys, we're so glad to have Tyler on here.
Yeah, I'm on the live list a lot. It's pretty regular. So this is a ploy. Tom had a show that he was doing for a long time, and I never got invited to it. So I created a script where
he did get invited to it. He busted through the door and came into the show.
That's not how an invitation
because
works. That's how party crashing works.
Yeah, you can come. So party crashing.
So now I forced him to be on a show with me, and
here we are.
Yeah. That's good.
Now, you know what? I feel so good about it. I'm glad we're doing this.
I'm
glad I invited you on the show.
It's one of the best times.
Live with
Tom. Thanks for letting me be here.
Featuring Tyler.
Well, tell us a little bit about pandemic life. What has that been like for you, living in the crazy world that we now live?
Man, it's been pretty crazy.
Like an exhale breath.
It's been crazy. It's been obviously a lot different. It's been 5 months or something like that.
Yeah, forever.
So, I mean, I feel like working here at the church, it's been a huge learning experience because we go from planning on how we serve people in person and on Sundays and on Wednesdays for youth group and small groups and all these different events. And then I felt like, oh, now what do I do with my job? You know, right when this all hit, I was like, am I going to get fired or something because we can't meet with people? So it's just a lot. We
got to talk about that later.
Yeah. Well, it was a lot of learning, I think, for all of us. I mean, when it comes to technology. And I think we put in the most hours when the pandemic started, you know, because we had to figure something out to stay connected as a church, as a body of believers. And but, you know, I need to be around people. Yep. So I'm actually really grateful that I work here because we can distance ourselves and we still came to work. So just personally, I need to be interacting with people in person. Or in some, I don't
regular
know how people
capacity.
What if there was a pandemic where there was no social media? We'll get to that, but but there's no social media. Like I feel like, or texting or calling. What do you do?
Pandemics like 100 years ago when you couldn't actually be around somebody. Like
I'm pretty thankful I live in this century.
Yeah.
It's
definitely this is a one that feels like targeted at extroverts and people who like being around.
That's so true.
Like all the introvert people, like that, I've seen a bunch of those memes where it's like the extroverts holding onto their windows, slamming their heads against the wall, and then the introverts just sitting there, drawn in a little book with like little whistling sounds.
I've been training for this. The introvert says,
"This is the best thing ever."
Yeah,
but I have heard a lot of even introverts kind of saying, "I'm ready to be around people I don't like. I'm so tired of being distanced."
Absolutely.
So it's been a crazy time. Don't go to Walmart unless you don't have to. Oh yeah, it's the worst. No. Just like, oh cool, I can see people. I can see people never. I feel like because I was you grew up for years learning how to like properly, respectfully, and politely greet someone, handshakes and things like that, and then you can't come in contact with another human being at all, and you're like, cool, I haven't greeted someone in 5 months properly, so I just feel like I'm being rude all the time because it's like, hey, which 6 months ago would have been an extremely rude greeting for me to just say wave and keep going.
Exactly.
But now it's like
Tyler has been working on his handshakes, and then all of a sudden the pandemic hit, and he couldn't. As you just said, I've been working on my handshakes.
No, I said my whole life I've been about handshakes and proper greetings.
But he has been working on it. He's been practicing his handshakes, so he's very excited for when we all get to see each other.
I've got a little mannequin hand in my office
today. Yeah.
That's going to get so weird. Oh, and there we are. So let's talk a little bit about serving, because that's just for some fun to give us some nice content. One of the big things that's become really challenging, 'cause when you have people who have a heart to serve and a desire to serve, but now we're supposed to be distanced from people, and we don't have a lot of those serve opportunities we used to on Sunday mornings with no kids classes currently, without needing greeters and safety team and all that kind of stuff. What does serving look like in a pandemic, especially for people going like, because some of us, like some people don't sit still well. They're like, give me something to do. I need to go.
Yeah.
What does serving look like?
So, well, first of all, I take pride in that our church body, like, they want to serve, you know, and I think I know you've heard it a lot, and I've heard it just, when are we going to get back to it? When are we going to get back to it? I know there's no really answers right now, but it's really cool just to hear that they want to be here and be the church and volunteer and serve others. And so it's cool. Well, student ministry specifically, like I said, I thought, well, what the heck do I do now? You know, and I would contact so many other student pastors in the area and around the world, actually, like just the ones that I knew. And I'm like, hey, like, what are you guys doing? I have no clue. What are you doing? I have no clue. Is your camp on? I don't know. So there's so many different questions that we had. And so throughout the past maybe 5 months, small groups, I know they couldn't meet in person. And the way that, you know, student ministry has been doing it is most of our student ministry is based off of our small groups. And so they would utilize Zoom calls, and it's getting to the point now where, you know, Zooming is not like the best thing for them anymore. They just don't want to do, you know, and understandably, right. I'm done. I'm so sick of Zooming people.
Yeah, it doesn't scratch the itch the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
As an in-person connection.
But now for the future, like for us to, you know, being in this position where we still don't know if we're going to open up in person and meet for Unite, or still small groups in person, then we're utilizing our digital platform, where we have YouTube. We've been on it a lot during Easter time and a little bit after that. But we're going to go back to using the curriculum we would have used in person on social media. I know a lot of people don't have Facebook and Instagram, and if you don't, then it's going to come through your email or your mass text, which I will somehow get that out to the church, the texting number, and utilizing YouTube links on these videos, and also interacting through those videos. So, and sending encouragements, because what I've noticed, what I've seen and heard is that, you know, I know a lot of students like this idea of sometimes being home is in the beginning, and I did too in a way, kind of, but a lot of students, they don't have these opportunities to go out and do something, and they're at a point where 4 or 5 months into events being canceled, camp being canceled, in-person meetings being canceled, they start to go a little crazy, and which is understandable. And especially, I know when I was a student in high school, I needed to be around people. I still need to be around people now, but especially then, I needed to, you know, have that community, and God calls us into community. So, you know, what I don't want is to have students sitting in their house, you know, doing nothing all by themselves, or just with their family, which is really cool opportunity to connect with family, but also to still be in a godly community with godly friends and leaders around them. So that's what we're trying to implement now, is just utilizing our digital platform on social media and on YouTube, and also, which we're going to talk about soon, is meeting in person, but here on campus, as we start to open up outdoor seating and outdoor, like, what do you call, like, patio areas? Yeah,
covered patio stuff that we can meet but stay at a distance and do so kind of as a hybrid of not meeting and meeting.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the biggest. One of the things I think, some of it is just kind of going, hey, we do this. A lot of serving is still the same kinds of stuff. You just approach it in different ways.
Yeah.
We went from the focusing on in-person to focusing on some more digital content to get things out there and just to connect in different ways as best we can.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of the things that a lot of times we lose sight of in the busyness of serving, is we always think that serving is about doing something.
Exactly.
Serving is the primary point of serving. Serving is doing something, but it's not doing something for the sake of doing something.
Yeah.
Serving is about honoring other people. It's about loving other people. It's about respecting and valuing them. And those are things that can happen without doing something just as much as they can happen with doing something.
Yeah.
And that's been kind of one of those big changes, I think, that kind of this has put us in that situation with, of how do we demonstrate that same love, that same value and respect without being able to do the things that we used to do to show it. And
I think it's a really cool opportunity for us to learn how to serve with, while being distanced. I mean, like, it's not, it's not relational distancing. We're social distancing. Right. I mean, God's not taking a break. All right, guys, take a break. Don't love and don't serve those people that are in your life. I think this does, and we're still learning. Right. I think this is a really cool opportunity where once we do start meeting in person, we still have all these, all right, well, I can connect to them this way and this way because I learned in these 6 months how to do that.
How to better connect to people.
Exactly, yeah.
Because then when the obstacles go down, it becomes easier to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's one of the things I think is really important is understanding opportunity. Mm-hmm. Is we can go, oh, this is a problem, this is a challenge, this is a pain, an obstacle, or we can say this is an opportunity for us to get better at something or to learn different approaches to it, because there's a lot of things that we do out of habit because that's always what we've done. Mm-hmm. Well, when you can't do things the way you've always done them, it forces you to start searching for new ways. Yeah. And that allows us to kind of grow in that. And one of the things for me that I think is one of the biggest components is that I think people who have a heart to serve and have a heart to lead need to use this time to take care of themselves. Because it's one of the hardest things for a leader and a person with a servant heart to do, right? Because you're always looking at helping other people. You're always, and that's the right gospel attitude, is caring for other people. But one of the things they taught us in ministry is you have to spend half of your time caring for yourself. Yeah. Because if you go down, all the people that are looking to you and all the people that are following that example, all the people that have benefited from anything that you've done for the past, they all hurt if you collapse. Yeah. And so the best thing that you can do to care for your people is make sure that you yourself are also healthy. Not in a selfish way, but so that you can continue to care. And
Come on, man.
We noticed this was one of the biggest things that happened in Joplin, because I was in Joplin for that EF5 tornado that destroyed 8,000 homes and businesses and killed 161 people. And the first, 6 months, you have all the leaders in the community, all those servant people that are out, they're doing all this stuff. They're going crazy trying to fill in these gaps and take care of a community during that time. And then the next 6 months was sort of like there was this cloud over the whole city, because all of your spiritual leaders and all of your serving-hearted people had emptied themselves out, and they had nothing left to give. And so when you kind of are living in a community where everyone is just drained, and if you don't have a second wave, if you don't have people that are prepared to take that baton and keep going, then you run out of juice and there's no one left to serve. And it was more in some degrees. Now, the storm was obviously the worst part, but in some degrees, the hardest part was not the immediate aftermath, but after that 6-month window when all of those leaders ran out of juice. And so when we're dealing with something that's been a long process and we don't know exactly, there's hope that this thing ends before ever, but we don't know how long it is. That's the hard part when you run a race and you don't know how long the race is. You just kind of keep running until they tell you to stop. Yeah. That's hard because you don't know how to pace yourself.
Absolutely.
But in that run is recognizing, man, we got to take care of ourselves so that when some of these things go away and when things start to, whatever that new normal looks like, return to that, we have something in that tank left to give. Otherwise, we're coming out of a dark pit and there's no one who can drive that car forward, because everybody's worn out. And so that's for those who have that serving, leading heart. One of the things for me, the biggest thing is going to refill your tank, spend some time, rest, recover, rejuvenate. Yeah. Because we're going to need, every church across the country is going to need you more than ever at the end of this thing. And if you're coming into it already fatigued, then it's going to be really hard to get everything, because there's that rebuild process that has to happen emotionally, relationally, from all this time apart.
I love that you said that, because I didn't write that one down. but
Tom has notes.
But I agree. I completely agree with that. It's just I think mentally, I know probably for you too, but in the beginning of this, it was so tough. Like I'm not doing anything like when I get home, or because I can't, But moving over to like you said, working on yourself. For me, I love working out, but not only was I working on me, but working out with other people. Like Tyler and I, we challenged each other on a and about killed ourselves. But I mean, that's the stuff that I know I think we're both serving each other also while serving ourselves, because we're doing this as a family, as a community. And I think those challenges to try to not who's going to be better or whatnot, but I think challenges are so important, even just like spending time in the Word. I know that's obviously that's a way to take care of yourself, but also doing that with somebody else that feels more like a challenge. Like if you're doing it with someone, it'll be easier, you know, and probably more fun that you can discuss it with. And
that creates accountability, growth, difference of opinions. Yeah. I think there's a lot of things. One of the things I was thinking about with it is that in serving in this particular season is probably less about doing and more about being. And what I mean with that is that what people need more than ever right now is hope and joy and someone that cares.
Yeah.
Because there's the amount of isolation. You talk about people already having struggles and hardships in life under normal conditions, and then you add all these compounding things on top of it. Just being a joyful presence in someone's life is a form of serving them, because it's not easy to do that for any of us, because we're all so frustrated. And, you know, it's the temptation is to get together and just commiserate about how frustrating it is.
Yeah.
But honestly, one of the best ways we serve each other is just to be hopeful and to be joyful in how we talk to each other and how we treat each other. Bring that kind of that light and that joy into their life to give that person who may be really struggling with the hopelessness of this time to see that way forward. You know, being able to care for people without being in fear, without letting the fear that we have cripple us so that we can do that. That's a huge, so it's almost like serving has shifted a little bit from physically doing things for people to emotionally being things to help other people grow and kind of see that way forward, be that light at the end of a tunnel in a sense. But sort of set that example, and maybe even just like one of the biggest things is like with all the disagreements and frustrations that have come on all these different issues over all of these things, is just we need to learn how to have disagreement with respect again. Like it's so the division and everybody's taking shots at each other. Well, one of the ways we can serve each other is by disagreeing with respect, by disagreeing with compassion for the other person, with an understanding and an acceptance of the other person, going that, hey, this person, they have intelligent, deliberate reasons for believing the way that they do on this particular situation, just like you do. Now, they didn't end at the same conclusion, but that doesn't mean you have to insult their process. That doesn't mean their process is dumber or less informed or less educated than yours is. So let's, you know, if we find that way of being, because it just seems like and that's not new, that's been an increasing problem over the last decade of people just not being able to disagree with mutual respect. Where it used to be, you could have these big discussions on different sides and you could go back and forth and hash it out and still kind of treat each other well in the process. It seems like we've lost that skill completely. And it's like, if you don't agree with me, then I'm going to just cancel you out and not, you know, everything that you are to me is done. It's like, well, how is this healthy? That's not, you're forcing conformity, not diversity and unity and that kind of thing. So that as another means of, again, practical idea for serving is just be respectful towards people who disagree with you, you know, and express that love, and even in the disagreement, express it in a loving way. You know, like that's one of the things the Bible teaches, right? Speak the truth in love. Well, we got a lot of people that are really passionate about speaking truth. They just completely ignore that in love part, where they say, "Oh, I love you, and that's why I'm telling it to you." Like, well, if you don't feel the love and how you're expressing the truth, you're probably not doing it
right. I mean, and that's what, and you see so much of that now that more people are on social media throughout this pandemic. I mean, you see that all the time, and you know, I think we also have to realize that God has created us differently, you know, and in a unique way. So we're going to have different thoughts, different opinions, and the way that we see things, the way that we see God's word, everyone's going to see that in a way a little bit differently. But you know, we can use our social media platform also to serve people, you know, just to have, you know, like you said, just being that sense, like having that sense of hope, that you portray in the way you talk to someone. That's the way we should be doing that on social. We should be doing it on social media too, posting things with hope and encouragement and love. And that was one of the things I put down there. It's just where it comes. Nice.
That's why I got off social media, was because I was sort of like, none of this is good for anyone. This is just a bunch of people yelling at each other, and nobody wants to listen. I'm out.
But there are ways that we can serve people well on social media, because everyone who's on social media has some sort of influence, because it's not only from one person to another, it's you and so many other people that are watching what you're posting, and what better way to utilize that for the glory of God, you know?
Right.
So,
and that would be a very pleasant change for social media, to see it being used for the glory of God, and not for everybody bashing each other over the head with their own point.
We'll have to make a new social media platform. It'd be like God Book or Face God.
And that happened.
running a little long. I don't know.
You get copyright stuff coming at you real hard.
Yeah.
Facebook's going to take this down and sue us for
it. They're going to take it. Stupid. They're going to keep it up and post it everywhere.
No, probably.
No, what are you going to do? So.
Well, any other thoughts you have on serving or pandemic life?
One of the, just another like practical thing that I started getting into, but I started getting burnt out from it. So we got to think of different ways to do it. But, like I said before to Tyler, I was like, I don't know if I can live in a pandemic without, phone or without having to contact anybody. I need to be doing that. But maybe just a challenge to, send a text every morning to somebody different that you haven't talked to in a while and pray for them and tell them you're praying for them, or ask them, hey, how can I pray for you? And I started doing that a little bit with the people that I used to live in a small town in Long Island. Well, it was a pretty big town actually, but started just to connect back up with them to see how they're doing. Except I wouldn't do it for just one person. I'd have this drive one day. I need to talk to this person, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I can't do all this. But having one person in the morning just saying, hey, how can I pray for you? That little bit, you don't know what that person's going through. You don't know how they're feeling. Just that one text is saying, how can I pray for you? And just want to let you know I love you, and that you have people surrounding you that loves you also, and Jesus loves you. So, those little encouragements, I think, would be something that small. If everyone did that, could change the world. I do believe that. Just to remind them that they're still in community, even though they're social distancing. Right. So,
it's great. Anytime you have those thoughts, and we screen change.
So we got our new.
Our this is
once we get out of quarantine, this is where we're all going. So surprise, free trip from CFCC to everybody that's watching. But
we're going to this stock footage mountain.
Actually, probably one of the best stock footages.
It is a great stock footage picture.
So that's
hey, we're on live with live with that mountain.
That's right.
He's the real star of this thing. But that's a great idea. And just having again little practical things that you can do at a distance that show someone that you care, that show someone that you're thinking. Just that little thought of I'm thinking about you goes a long way in a lot of people's lives, and having that kind of happen throughout sometimes just gives you a little bit more light in that life, and a little bit more joy to kind of walk around with. So that's a great thought. Cool, Thomas, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Tyler, for
Rick 2.0.
Asking me. Oh, I'll take Tom.
2.1.
Okay.
Rick 2.1. He's the Windows update.
Yeah.
All right, guys, have a good week.